Really excited to be here again, and what I'm going to do in 6 quick minutes is to talk about what we see happening in the healthcare venture sector. We'll talk about venture fundraising, where that money's going, who are the most active investors, what's going on with Series A, and then we'll finish up looking at M&A and IPOs for venture-backed companies. So let's sort of get started. This first slide sort of look at the dollars raised with venture funds that are dedicated to investing in healthcare. And we see for the 4th year in a row, we're on track to raise more than $6 billion. And that's all dollars that are going to go into healthcare companies. So, the quick takeaway is that we're looking pretty good in terms of dollars that are active in the market. And these dollars don't even count corporate venture and crossover and other folks that are investing in the market. A quick interesting note is that the vast majority of these dollars are really being raised for biopharma, the vast majority. And we are seeing dollars raised in the med device side, but the investors in that area tend to be less focused as a traditional venture folks and more sort of crossover family office folks, which we'll talk about later in the presentation. And so looking at Series A and biopharma, I think there's a couple things to pick out. One is that just the sheer amount of capital being invested in the sector. Last year, $2.3 billion invested. The first half of the year is sort of on track to equal that so far this year. Interesting point one, the strategics are super active in Series A biopharma. Last year they were at 23%. This year, 30% of all Series A financings have a corporate as a part of the Series A syndicate. The other thing is just the sheer size of these deals. Over 25% of these deals are over $25 million in terms of Series A. And really, this is just the idea that these Series A are really Series A and B put together. And ophthalmology is active, but not as active as we've seen in the past. On the device side, on the other hand, ophthalmology is a number four area in terms of modality where there's companies being invested, almost twice as many companies being invested in Series A and device than biopharma. But you do see that the dollar size is much smaller, around a $3 million median fundraise, and you're not seeing any large rounds in this sector. Biopharma investors, who are the most active folks investing into deals today? And what you see at the top 20, you have 11 traditional venture folks and you have 9 corporate venture. So, really you're seeing the corporate folks continue to step up and be active investors. In the top right corner, you get a sense of some of the folks that have been investing in ophthalmology deals over the last year and a half. On the device side, you really see sort of the diversity here where you have the corporate folks like J&J and Medtronic and GSK in Boston. You see angel groups like Keiretsu Forum and Green Parks. You see crossovers like Wellington and Deerfield. You see family offices like KCK and even private equity folks like KKR joining this field. And so it's a very diverse investor set, which just means it's a lot harder for your device companies to go out and figure out who they want to engage with to raise their next round of funding. But we are seeing deals being done, and up in the top right-hand corner again, some of the folks that are doing the deals. So let's go into the exit side. So we're looking at private venture-backed companies that either get acquired, on the biopharma side at least $75 million up front, or on the device side at least $50 million up front, or go public. And let's see what those look like. On the biopharma side, I think that the takeaway here is one, IPO market is pretty strong, and actually with Apellis today, we're at 28, which equals what we did last year. On the on the M&A side, we're lagging a little bit, and I think part of that is around the IPO market, and part of it is maybe repatriation thoughts, and maybe people holding off a little bit. On the M&A side, we continue to see early stage deals get acquired. The dollar size is pretty strong. Really been dominated by oncology and orphan rare deals. Those are the folks that are really getting out on the M&A side. On the IPO side, we're really seeing an apex in terms of the pre-money valuations of the companies going out. So within this cycle, what's happening right now is really the biggest dollar amount being raised and the highest pre-money valuations. This is really being driven by the crossover investors. The top 15 crossover investors are involved in about 80% of the IPOs that we've seen so far this year. On the device side, not much going on the IPO side, but the M&A side continues to be fairly strong. And similar to where we've seen investments in Series A in ophthalmology, we see a good number of M&A transactions as well. Number 4 overall if you look at the number of big exits. And frankly, six ophthalmology deals since 2015. And M&A, a lot of deals happening in Q3 and Q4, decent size numbers, but it does take a little bit of time to get there from the close of Series A, 8.3 years. What's really interesting is if on the device side you sort of look at, there's a bifurcation between pathway, the companies that are innovative, 510K, de novo, and PMA versus your traditional 510K. And it's interesting when you look at the numbers, on the 510K side, most of these companies have to get FDA approval, raise a commercialization round to get to exit. On the other hand, PMA de novo, most of those deals get acquired before FDA approval. And you can see they get acquired in about half the amount of time, 5.5 years versus 9. And the upfront multiple is 4.3x for PMA de novo 510K deals, which is equal to what we're seeing in the biopharma sector. So in the end, what do the things look like? I think healthcare fundraising on track for a record year. Biopharma investors, are going to invest a lot. Device is going to be about equal. And device M&A is going to be stable, and we really like the opportunities of innovative devices versus iterative devices on the M&A side. So with that, thank you so much.